This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. The latest in a wave of viewer-generated videos. Sean asked me if I'd do a video on the major 7 chords, and specifically his suggestion was major 7 chords are not just for jazz, and I thought that's actually a really cool topic to talk about. Patreon will be the place to get the tab and the worksheet. I'm going to put it up on screen for you, and also that intro there. But we're going to talk about some kind of theory stuff, but hopefully it's going to be relatively simple-ish. But it might give you some ideas for things that you can play that are a little bit less predictable. And if you liked the way that I played, something about what I do. Okay, glasses on. So the first thing to say is I'm going to be talking in sort of D major today. And that's kind of going to be our default, because I want to show you some major 7 kind of things in D major. Now, the thing that you're probably quite familiar with already would be voicings like this, which kind of has a sound, or this kind of thing, maybe even this. And that is kind of the first thing probably that you may have learned, or maybe not even that probably, or that. I think that's probably the first time I learned a major 7 chord, which is A major 7. So, what is the major 7 chord? So, very basically, you get the root, the 3rd, the 5th, and then the 7, which in D major is going to be C sharp, right? Because our notes go D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. So, is what we would have in that major 7. And what's really cool about it is you can get these kind of really close voicing, so I use that sort of thing. So the very first tip is that you can use your major 7 chord on either the root or the 4th degree of the scale. So if we're playing, for instance, in D major, it will work really nicely over chord 1. But equally, if we were playing chord 4, so we can play a D major 7 in the key of D, or we can play a G major 7. So all of the things that I'm going to show you today would apply over chord 1 or chord 4. The other cool thing is that if you apply this over chord 6, you get a really nice set of tensions. So like a D major 7 over a B gives us our 3rd, our 5th of B minor, our 7th and our 9. So over the 6th chord we get some really nice tensions there. We get both the 7th and the 9. We'll come back to that at some stage. Now, some other voicings that we could try that are maybe less predictable. This is one that I really like, and we're going to be starting with this kind of pretty mysterious sounding voicing. So we got on the 4th fret here, we've got our F sharp, that's our 3rd, 7th here on the 6th fret on the G string, then our D, our root note, is here, and our 5th is here on the A string. This is a drop voicing, and these are the ones that I like the sound of quite nicely. Some of the other ones have a bit of a clunky sound. Then this one up here you've probably played before, but as like a B minor. But here we can play 7, 7, 7, 9. So there's our 5th root, 3rd major 7. Then here, start on our major 7 on the 11th fret, 3rd, 5th root, and then last of all 12, 14, 14, 14. So that's a set of drop chord voicings, the system of which I've never really properly figured out. I just know that these shapes kind of go together, and this one I really like the sound of. And don't forget, what works on chord 1 will work on chord 4, or also on chord 6 and chord 2. So that's kind of some nice parts to start off with. Another thing I like to do over this kind of thing, here's a chord that I play in place of chord 1 or chord 4 all the time. So here we have our root, then we have our 6, which is a B in the key of D, then we have our E, which is the kind of 9 in D, then our 5th, and then our major 7. Okay, and then you can do that over, as I said before, the other stuff, the chord 1, or over chord 4, chord 6, chord 2. Kind of nice interchangeable. Another really cool chord that is kind of at the start of that pedal show, this kind of thing. You could kind of think about this as a major 9 type chord, or major 7 sus 9, something like that, or add 9. So we got our 3rd here on the 7th fret, root, 9, 5th, major 7. And like all the things that came before, we could play this over our 1, we could play it over our 4, play it over our 6, play it over our 2. So that's got a really cool sound. Then one last chord I wanted to show you, this Alan Holdsworth kind of thing, where we got a kind of that basic major 7 thing going on. So 3rd, 7, root, and you can put the 9 here. So you could play this over chord 1, or you could play it over chord 6. You could play it over chord 4, chord 2, so that's like a major 7 with a 9 in the bass. Really, really cool sound. Now, in terms of some kind of pattern bass playing that I really like the sound of, as I was saying, the 9 and the 7 are kind of colour tones that I like to use a lot. So if I'm playing over D, that's my 9, that's my 7, and it feels to me like those notes want to move somewhere, right? So there's an inherent kind of tension there, which is why the major 7 in classical music would be called a leading note, right? And there's our root, right? Or the 9 either wants to lead to the 3rd or back home to the root. So I've got a couple of little ideas here. So here we start on the root, 5th, the 9, 3rd, major 7, then shift up, 3rd, root, 5th, major 7, 9. You build these as little melodic phrases, or phrases if you want. Then 14, so there's our 5th, there's our 9th, major 7, root, or 5th or 3rd again, or so that's kind of like a little idea where we can take apart these kind of little chord ideas and just build them into little building blocks. Here's another one. So that's a little kind of sweepy phrase. So there's our root, there's our 9, major 7, root, 9, no, sorry, 3rd, 9, back up to our 3rd, 5th, 9, 3rd, 6, 5th, jump up the octave. And then I thought, actually, if we land on our ring finger, seventeenth fret down to that major 7, root, 3rd, 3rd, 5th, root. So you get that kind of cool kind of a cool sound. And then one last idea, just take our major 7 arpeggio like that, right? So 5th fret, 4th fret, we're just ascending normally, and then start again from the 3rd and finish on our root. Could do that over our 4th as well, don't forget, or over our 6th, or over our 2. The very last thing I wanted to show you actually is quite a handy way that I figured from Ben Unison. I think he's done a whole kind of course on this, about how you could systematize your major 7. So kind of start here, I'm going to do it 2 note per string, root, 3rd, 5th, major 7, then our next set would be in first inversion, 2, 5, 3rd, 5th, major 7, root, 3rd, 5th, major 7, root, 3rd, 5th, major 7, root. And I think Beato calls these like piano arpeggios, where it's kind of repeating the same thing, so that at least you don't have this weird thing where you got kind of an asymmetrical arpeggio, right? And then the last, from the 5th, major 7, root, 3rd, so that's a really good way to practice these things. And I think one of the easiest ways to visualize kind of big arpeggios. I hope that's a slightly interesting in some ways lesson, and I'll catch you in another one soon. Thanks to Sean for the idea, and Patreon, the place for the worksheet. And also, I'm using a Helix preset for this if you wanted to try that out. It's in the pad preset. The Stomp has some pads presets, but the Helix has a full kind of scale, so you could harmonize in D major or any other key. So that's the Helix pads folder if you go into the Gumroad. Cheers for stopping by.